I'm Madi Acharya-Baskerville. I'm a visual artist.
I'm Sarah Brown. I'm the director of the Lightbox in Woking, and we're here in the exhibition of Madi Acharya-Baskerville.
The exhibition is called I Dream a Palace, and it's inspired by Woking Palace and the Heritage Collection, which has many finds from the grounds of Woking Palace. This exhibition follows on from a residency that I did as part of the 2020 project, a project trying to incorporate works by underrepresented artists from diverse communities into major museum collections.
2020 is an initiative that was led by the University Arts London, and the Freedlands Foundation supported it, and the Arts Council. And it's an initiative between 20 museums and galleries, 20 artists and 20 collections.
What particularly inspired me was visiting Woking Palace grounds, the atmosphere of the place and how that sort of links with the Heritage Collection. I wanted to bring my own cultural heritage into the residency, thinking about palaces that I've visited in India. There's one particular palace in Rajasthan called Chittor, which also has various ruins and walls which have been abandoned, and there's quite a lot of greenery and nature. So that's sort of thinking about that palace, it resonated with me in terms of looking at Woking Palace. I wanted to create my own palace and think about objects in a palace. Tongue-Tied is a work that I created in porcelain, and I've also embedded green glass that I found on the Thames, and the green glass with successive firings have come to resemble weepy eyes. I've also used textiles, fishing net debris, and also embroidered textiles, which have come together well in the colour of the glaze and also the textiles being pink and green. This work is about those who have been oppressed through colonisation and are unable to articulate their narratives and are hence tongue-tied. Nipple Court is another work I created in porcelain, and in the centre embedded is a piece of brick that I found in the Thames. Here I've also combined textiles with ceramics. Fishing net debris and vintage fabrics have been brought together. This work is about the brutality and aggression and violation of the body during colonial rule in India. Under the Bonnet is an earlier work in which I've brought together fishing net debris and vintage silk scraps from saris, and it symbolises the journey across oceans, particularly of South Asian women. I'm very inspired by my cultural heritage. Thinking about pattern, texture, buildings in South Asia is very much part of what I do. Encountering Woking Palace and the locked door was really the seed of the idea of the whole project. When I came across the locked door, I began to think about what was inside. I visited the Reserve Collection, which has archaeological finds from 2014. There was a large key there, which is actually part of the exhibition here, and I made my own version of this large key that would unlock this door, thinking about what might be in a palace of my imagination. What would I have in the palace? And then that also inspired the community workshops, where we made our own palace and also kind of thought about objects that might be in the palace. The watercolours are created from the studies that I made when I came across Valencian tiles and also a tile from Chertsey Palace, and those were made as part of the research during the residency. The Thames in London is very special in the way it is a container of history. Bones, oyster shells, remnants of bricks, eroded rusty nails and ceramics are washed up. Sometimes there is also plastic. I've been collecting such things for a while, thinking about this act of collecting and mudlarking along the river. Objects are presented along the beach and then retrieved as the tide comes in, the water lapping against the barriers. There are parallels in the objects found along the foreshore and those that are within the Heritage Collection at the Lightbox. This connection felt very significant. There's a Bartman jug in Woking story, and that was an inspiration for some of my works in the residency. Bartman is a type of jug that was made in Germany near the River Rhine between 16th and 18th century. Many of these jugs have been found near buildings and also in the River Thames. There was a Bartman jug that was found in the River Thames in Greenwich. They had various objects placed in them, like pins, bodily fluids, all kinds of things to ward off evil. Bartman literally means bearded man. It's this idea of a bearded man. And then the jugs were decorated with all kinds of designs, geometric, and some of them were really ornate. Decoration is an important part of my practice. I feel it's a way of hooking the viewer into more serious issues around cultural difference and diversity, as textiles, patterns and colours vary across different cultures. There was one workshop which was with students from a mosque. I asked them to think about patterns in Islamic architecture and make drawings, which I then incorporated aspects of their design from the drawings into my work, which is in the exhibition. There's also three-dimensional workshops which were held here where we used discarded materials to create an imaginary palace. We've got photographs of those in the exhibition. Ahead of the workshop, I made samples from discarded materials. I created a miniature palace, a silver spoon and a Tudor rose. That was a really enjoyable and interesting experience to see what the communities, how they interpreted this idea of an imaginary palace and thinking about treasures that might be in the palace.
The whole of this green area that we're standing within, rivers that side and all the trees around the other sides, it was full of tall buildings.
Right.
Absolutely.
But how tall? As tall as this building here?
Some would have been taller than there, yeah.
It's hard to imagine, isn't it?
It is hard to imagine because it's the absolute opposite of now.
The Woking Palace today, it's the remnant of the building. So there isn't very much of the actual palace left, but the grounds are really inspiring to walk around. The trees, the River Wey, it's a very lovely place to be in. One is kind of completely in nature, which was a great inspiration. Much of my work is focused on the environment and thinking about environmental pollution, particularly ocean pollution. And quite often I walk along the coast. I'm very drawn to water in my practice. For this exhibition, I wanted to combine textiles from South Asia and then thinking about fishing net debris, which is also actually textiles, and then bring it together with ceramics. And the works that are in the exhibition, there are no fixings, so the hanging structure is actually the textiles. And I feel this residency and then thinking about found objects and ceramics together, this idea of kind of thinking about environmental issues and ocean pollution has been brought together much more in this exhibition. With the Heritage Collection, I had a lot of help, I had a lot of support from some very knowledgeable volunteers. It was very helpful to go to the reserve collection, and any questions I had were looked into and I got some very informed responses. And then making the exhibition itself here has been an experience because it's an unusual exhibition to have works made by the community as part of a solo exhibition, and as well as that, incorporating objects from the collection that inspired me, so that the objects are in dialogue with work that I have created, and they come sort of face to face, they're in conversation. I feel very privileged actually to be able to have objects from the collection in an exhibition of my work. At the Lightbox, there's a very active learning and engagement team who work with lots of different communities, and I wanted to have a sort of a cross-section of the community. The learning and engagement team really helped me to organise workshops. Being part of this programme with the Decolonising Institute has really helped me in my professional development because I was always keen to work with museum collections. So I feel as if it's given me a really good experience of that. And also it's been a very helpful programme in terms of encountering other artists that have been involved with the project. I feel like it's been a really good grounding in quite a few different areas for me. Since doing this project, I've also been commissioned for the First Plinth Award, which is a very different approach, but I feel this has given me a huge amount of experience of working in a way that I'm not used to, so it's been outside my comfort zone, which is really important as an artist to take risks and develop new processes. I also won the primary residency prize as part of the New Art Exchange Open, so I will be returning to Nottingham for a month's residency, exploring nature and environmental issues as part of my work there. There's been a sort of an explosion in the number of different avenues for my artistic practice, so I'm feeling like it's a very exciting time.
The support from the Arts Council and the Friedlands for all the artists on the 2020 programme has been really important. It's been really great to see Madi's career develop over the course of that year. It's been fantastic to see her being supported and to see that that support has really enabled her career to develop and flourish.
More of my work can be found on my website and my Instagram. On my website, I have all the kind of different aspects of my practice. And then on my Instagram, there are pieces of work, details of works, and also process. More of my work coming up can be seen in the Royal Society of Sculptors First Plinth Award. There is a solo exhibition, sculptural works that are very focused on the environment. I'll also be showing some of my ceramics. I'm really delighted that 3 of my works have been acquired by the Lightbox and are now part of their permanent collection. The works that have been acquired are Goodbye Bartman, It's Been a Blast. It's dark blue with patterns, and the title refers to letting go of the work because I no longer have it. And then It's Been a Blast refers to my time during the residency and how much I enjoyed it and what a rich experience it was. And then blast is also, of course, another way of thinking about a kiln, which is a blast furnace. Another work which has been acquired is the Chertsey oyster. This is inspired by an oyster shell which I had, which has a hole in the center of it. And I wanted to create something like a mask, but also incorporate the oyster shell and the tile from Chertsey Palace. Another work that was acquired is On the Way to Woking Palace, and this was inspired by the ceramic toy horse in the Heritage Collection. The title refers to the times that I spent walking along the canal and thinking about walking on water and going to Woking Palace. Hence, it's this idea that there's a journey of this work which is travelling somewhere across the waterways.